Good evening, everyone. You're listening to another edition of Red Pill News. As always, I am Zak, the Corruption Detector, and joining me in studio once again is my good friend Bob Kudla from Trade Genius Academy. Bob, how's it going, brother?
Oh, good, Zach. How you doing?
Excellent, excellent. Glad to have you here again. There is some interesting stuff happening in the market. We're going to talk about that today. But first, just in case anybody watching has not heard of you before, they're not familiar with your work, please tell us what is Trade Genius Academy and what do you guys do?
Yeah, so, we consider ourselves the premier provider of stock trading and crypto trading information, education, and trading signals. And we use a system called the profit ribbon that really allows us to see where buying momentum and selling momentum is coming into a trade. And what it means to you is that we help you make money on nearly every trade. And so we keep it really simple. We have chat rooms that we run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have the trading signals. We have education. We actually give you the indicators for your software so that you can actually see when to buy and when to sell. And in that situation here, we just really help you just grind your way to profit every day. We're not Lambo guys. We're not penny stock traders. We trade real things. The things that we really like is, we're physical, commodity people versus the fiat world. So we trade a lot of silver. We trade a lot of gold, platinum, palladium, all those miners. We trade those, and then we look for other opportunities as they arise. So. And it's been a really good time for us because, as you and I have been talking for months now, gold is pressing on all-time highs. Silver is ready to break $20. And I think the whole world of fiat is starting to crumble. The United States is going to be probably the last man standing. So tremendous opportunities right now. And, if you want to get a hold of us, you can go to tradelikeagenius.com. We put together specials for your listeners like we always do, Zach. If they go there and check us out before Saturday, I believe it's the 18th, you can get 65% off the normal pricing. And then if you just want to buy anything individually in the store, just use the word freedom and you get 40% off anything individually. So I think you'll like what we do. We really help people, and an interesting story that I'll share the note with you, and maybe you can put it up for people that a lot of people that really, I would say, trade wrong, or they revenge trade, or they trade too aggressively. We kind of help people just capture the right ways of trading and using the right systems. And I have some feedback for you that I'll share with you what some of our listeners are saying, how we're helping them.
All right, sweet. I'll throw that up on the screen, and then, as always, the information for that will be in the pinned comment and the description below. So the market is kind of in a unique place right now. We're in the midst of a recession, but it's unlike any recession we've ever seen. It seems like the market just continues to climb. It's defying logic. So, how do people even know? It seems like things are just continuing to climb, and especially stocks like Amazon. Amazon must be going through the roof right now because you got people stuck indoors. We're in the shutdown 2.0. I'm sure that PPE stocks are probably doing really well. And I just saw that the central bank purchased another 40 billion pounds of gold? Yes. 40 tons of gold. That's still a lot. But so what's going on with gold and silver? Silver has historically been around $17, $18 an ounce?
Yeah, so silver, it's interesting you talk about silver. The ratio between silver and gold is usually 17-1. Silver's been trading in this range between $11 and $15 for the last 4 or 5 years. It popped over 50 not too long ago, and we think it's going to go back to that level again. But your earlier comment when you just said defies logic, when I started trading a long time ago, my mentor said to me, is you want to make money or you want to be right? And what he meant by that is what you see is not what you get in the stock market, because it really doesn't care about a recession. All the stock market cares about is how much money the Federal Reserve is willing to put into the casino. And as long as the Fed is putting money into the casino, they're going to find a place for it to go. And then you use the word Amazon. What's happening in the market is the top 10 companies in the world keep getting richer because it's called a market capitalization weighted market index. That means the bigger companies benefit disproportionate to everybody else. So if you took the top 10 companies out, stock market's gone nowhere. And with those in there, they make the indexes look good. It's all by design. This is all part of fooling the sheep, and thinking everything's well. But underneath those top 10, the market's really struggling. And so what people need to watch for is if Amazon and Apple and Google and Netflix and Tesla and, Amazon, I think I might have mentioned that already, if those guys go, then the market will fall really hard because they make up vast majority of the market. Until they go, we're just going to keep grinding our way. Now, gold and silver is they woke up because they're like saying, hey, the Fed is suppressing interest rates. And so you have a situation called negative real rates. When that happens, gold and silver benefits. So what people need to watch for, there's an index out there called TNX. If TNX keeps grinding down or stays stable, and the Fed keeps putting money into the market, gold and silver are going to react positively to that. And they're at a point now where I think they probably lost control, Zach. So, we'll see. Our prediction, I think we've been talking about this for quite some time, is that I always thought gold would hit all-time highs this year. 2021, it's going to hit. It's going to go to 2,900 because that's a measured mathematical move.
That's almost double, right?
Almost double from a year ago. It's up 50% already, and from last year. And then silver's up 75% from March's bottom. But silver has a long way to go. Silver's a little bit harder for me to quantify where I think it's going to end up because they can literally squirt like a toothpaste tube being stepped on. But I think we're going to cross 20. They'll probably jack it around like they always do because for whatever reason, they hate losing control, these bankers of the monetary metals. And then I think it'll be a quick move up to $25 on silver. But make no mistake, if gold breaks out into all-time highs, silver is going to play catch-up. And before this thing's all over, we'll see silver north of $50 again.
So why would that happen? I mean, is it because gold becomes too expensive for the average man to buy, so he just starts buying silver instead?
It's a ratio thing. So everything in the stock market happens what we call, you always talk about the dark web and the dark net. Well, there's dark pools. Everything has like this evil twin, and the market has these things called derivatives that are kind of behind the scenes where they've been suppressing gold and silver. So what they do is they go into the futures market and they can sell gold and silver that they don't own, which forces the market makers and the hedge funds and people who are long to cover lower prices. So that's how they keep it in check. But they have to build up. It's like, Three Gorges Dam. You've seen what's happening there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. All of a sudden now they got to let all the water out they can. Well, that's the same thing that's going to happen with gold and silver. It already happened with platinum and palladium, is that these guys that are short these positions that they don't own, their price gets away from them. They have to actually go out and find the physical, or they have to buy back their contract at a higher price. Well, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and all of a sudden you see things squirt. Platinum and palladium did this a couple of years ago when Russia decided to hold back on supply. They both doubled within 3 months. That is not out of the range of possibility because silver is one of the most shorted commodities out there. And if they lose control of it, you can easily wake up one day and you can start seeing 5% moves every day. And that's what happened in 2010. And it happened in 2010 for the same reasons why we're seeing today. The Fed came out of 2008, 2009, just buying everything. Well, it gets to the point where that gets saturated, and then everybody looks at the monetary metals and say, hey, we got to get involved in that. And that's what's going to happen here, too.
So I know we got a lot of silver stackers out in the audience. If something like that happens and somebody wants to cash in, what is the best way to do that? Because I know that if you go to like a coin collectible shop or something like that, I mean, they're not going to give you what it's actually worth. They're going to try to short you on it.
Yeah, see, I have my stack too. To me, that's like to get out of the country money. So the way I like to monetize this situation is I like to buy gold and silver miners because they're going to be leveraged 4 to 8 times the price move of silver. So if silver goes up 10%, these miners are going up 40 to 80%, depending on how big they are. That's how you make your money. And then you're liquid because you're inside of the market. So you can just convert that back to fiat. And then you have money, to conduct your business. And, with the thing with the exchanges, for the brokers, you're getting clipped on a bid and ask, and you're getting clipped on commissions. Look, I'm not saying don't stack. I think stacking's great. But if you want to truly make a lot of money, the miners are leveraged to the metals at, like I said, 4 to 8x. And we saw it just 10 years ago. We saw it, and we saw it twice. I've traded this twice in my trading career. So when these moves start moving, when they start breaking out to new highs, just get a seatbelt on your trading chair, because it's going to be an exciting 90 to 120 days.
So do you think there's any possibility that this cabal that we're fighting against, the deep state, might actually have an interest in pushing up these physical metals? I mean, if something happens and they have to forfeit all of their fiat fortunes, then they could do what you just suggested, use these physical metals as get out of the country money.
Look, they're already there. I mean, for the last 10 years, the biggest buyers of gold and silver have been central banks. JP Morgan, the bank, owns 54 million ounces of silver. So their interests are now aligned with us gold and silver buds, right? So they don't care now if silver and gold goes higher, because they basically relinquished their short book, and now they're long, they're holding it. I think personally, at the end of the day, that's how they're going to try to vanquish the debt. I think they're going to let gold and silver rip, and then they'll do some sort of swap, if you will, saying, hey, our gold window's open. You want to, turn your debt in. You can turn your debt in now, and but you're going to pay. Gold's going to be $80,000 an ounce. Some ridiculously high number, and in that way, that's how they'll vanquish the debt. Their way they're vanquishing the debt is all going into the Federal Reserve, as you know. And what people don't know about the Federal Reserve is that any profit they make on any of that money, they take their toll, but it rolls back to our treasury. So now that they're going to the zero bound and they're just creating debt that's sitting on their books, it's just a bookkeeping item. So what they'll probably do with the debt there is they'll just let it run for 10 or 12 years. And then as the population rolls over in terms of demographics, they'll unwind that over the next 40 or 50 years. So, what I'm saying is that there's options out there. People used to think that, there's going to be a wall. Now, that's the United States. Other countries are not so lucky because they don't have the reserve currency and they don't have the innate advantages that the United States has. I think it's probably one of the reasons why every country in the world that competes with us strategically wants to knock us down a peg, because they know we can do what Trump's doing right now. Just I'll print whatever I need to print, to be able to bring our economy back. And what that's doing is causing issues around the world, because China can't do that. China's at the point now where they may lose control of their currency. Europe has really lost control. Europe's a failed experiment, and Japan is a zombie. So they just keep driving this thing forward. So I just tell people, because people get very gloomy and doomy on this stuff. The good news is you're doing the right stuff. They're printing more fiat than gold and silver. That means whatever's in the ground is going to be worth more. Whatever's in your house is going to be worth more. And then I think the government's going to probably use that. There's no accident Judy Shelton has been floated by Trump to get onto the Fed. And I think we'll probably go back. This fiat situation is unique. When it's pure fiat, this is really from Nixon till today, where the world went free floating completely, not hooked to any kind of commodity. And I think they'll probably get back to it again.
Isn't the dollar supposed to be tied in some way to oil production?
It used to be. We used to be the petrodollar until we became the country that produces the most oil in the world. So,
and they took it away.
Yeah, well, it becomes less relevant, but we're still petrodollars. That all oil is conducted in dollars. The Chinese try to do a petro yen. They try to do a gold, yuan, and they try to do a gold yuan too. They both fail miserably because nobody wants the yuan, yeah, I'm going to take communist money. You know,
Gave it.
you know, oh yeah, and maybe I'll spend my vacation in Hong Kong, yeah,
Not anymore.
yeah. I mean, this whole thing, the 21st century belonged to China, has been a joke. I've been screaming into the wind for years on that, and now I'm being vindicated because communist countries do not become the world leader, okay, unless the whole world's going to go to crap. So the dollar is unassailable. It doesn't matter what oil does anymore. And look, Trump picked up the phone when oil got down to that negative number. He said, "Hey, you're blowing up my oil drillers. I want oil higher." Okay, Russia and Saudi Arabia, like boom. Next thing you know, oil's back to $40.
That was interesting.
$40 a barrel. So we're the tail that wags the dog on all these commodities, and so I wouldn't worry about the dollar. You notice we're pushing the dollar down right now. We're putting extreme pressure on our trading partners because they're what's called mercantilist traders. So what they do is they're export oriented. They suppress wages in their country, high taxes on their people, reduce consumption, push everything out primarily to America. Trump's like, no mas. So he's like, I'm going to drop the value of the dollar, and I'm going to make you guys pay a price for that. And that's how the Arab Spring happened in 2011, by the way. So they're going to push this until they create some sort of nuclear winter for some country. I think it's China they're going after, and I think you're starting to see it now. On Monday, what's today? Today's Tuesday or Wednesday. On Tuesday, Trump announced the Hong Kong peg is no longer, and no more favored nation status.
What was that? The Hong Kong what?
The Hong Kong dollar and the Hong Kong favored nation status they had with us is no more.
Okay.
And so that's China's ability to move capital in and out of their country. It's gone. So they're putting extreme pressure on China right now. And if they force China to float their currency, then China's in big trouble because they import as much as they export in terms of commodities and food stuff. And that becomes extremely expensive for their people, and then it's really a wash on their ability to export because they're importing steel and all this other stuff, and they just add value a little bit and then they ship it off at a lower price. So I think China's our target this time, and you already see China squawking about the dollar, so they're getting worried.
I was just going to say, I saw a report in Zero Hedge today. It was from some Chinese official, and it said that the U.S. dollar has us by the throat. This is talking about the decoupling of the yuan. This is exactly what you were talking about. Okay.
Yeah, and if they talk about it like they could do something about it. China and Russia, if they could have decoupled from the dollar, they would have already done so. But they can't. And because everybody has to import into us. So unless we become the world's exporting nation, like what happened to us in the 20s and going into the Great Depression, that's what's going to happen to China during this next depression. China is the United States of 1930s. So they can't decouple.
With that, the favored nation status being revoked from Hong Kong, are you saying that China was using Hong Kong as kind of a washing mechanism to bring money out to the rest of the world because Hong Kong had this kind of democratic light feel to it?
Yeah, it was legal money laundering. It was China has a controlled currency, so they so what they do is they don't let their yuan float, but Hong Kong, they have their dollar pegged to our dollar, but there's a way in which they can get dollars in and dollars out without really messing around with the yuan so much. Well, we're ending that, and when that happens, is the Chinese have to find other mechanisms now to move currency in and out. Look, they have capital controls because if they didn't, every rich Chinese in the world would be pulling money out of their country and would basically impoverish China. The Chinese elite, look, the ones that were smart already have property in Australia, New Zealand, United States, and England and Canada. Ironically, it's the Five Eyes countries that they tell us how much they hate us, but every one of them has their kid in one of these countries,
Yeah.
and they're on full bailout mode, and they're going to take a business trip and never come back. But their wife and kids are already here because they have to watch their kid go to school, and so that's why I don't worry about China. When the wealth, if I start to see the American elite start to move to to New Zealand, then I would say, okay, something's not right. But none of them are moving out of the United States. If you notice that, they always threaten going to Canada. I think when they run up there for the winter, like, okay, United States ain't too bad.
I think you're totally right. There were so many people who threatened to leave after President Trump came into office, and as far as I can tell, every single one of them are still here, so he is doing something right. All right, there was one more thing I wanted to talk about before we get done, and we were speaking about it before we began. There have been many arrests of high-profile pedos in the last week or two. We had somebody with a massive ring, I believe, in Indonesia. We had a woman in the UK. There was a European who was running a site on the dark web. So this is happening more and more, and I'm wondering how this might affect stuff in the future. I mean, what do you see happening?
Yeah, I think Trump is a big pot of water. All the elites are floating in the hot tub, and it keeps getting warmer and warmer and warmer because I think they're systematically just rolling these guys up. And notice Trump and his speech. I mean, his campaign thing he did yesterday, which was beautiful. He actually mentioned trafficking again. Mm-hmm. So he sends signals out there. I just think they're all interrelated. These people just have some sort of sick, perverse way of living their life. It's ultimate narcissism. The reason why they do this with children, and they don't want to catch diseases. They want to be in control. I mean, there's some hardcore psychological issues here. Mm-hmm. There always seems to be the elites and the powerful that are interested in this stuff. And I think when Trump says I caught them all, I think he meant he caught them all. Mm-hmm. And you just notice some just weird things are happening to people. And not just that. I mean, look at Judge Roberts. He got hurt. Yeah. I mean, he has some bizarre announcements in terms of his rulings, and he's on a thing. Chrissy Teigen the other day saying, I'm getting off social media. Like, where did that come from?
After deleting 30,000 tweets.
So I mean, people are starting to get word, and I think Trump's just he's ultimately patient. Mm-hmm. And he's just turning the heat up slowly, and I think they know something. My personal view is the Maxwell lady. I think she's been debriefed since last 4 to 6 months. Mm-hmm. And I think this whole capture was by design. There's no way that she was sitting there 6 months, nobody knew anything about anybody. So I think she cut a deal, and I think they have a lot of information here. She probably corroborated a lot of stuff they saw on Epstein. I mean, I can't believe how stupid people are. You go into a guy's house and you're going to commit a crime, and now you're totally now exposed, and you're going to be blackmailed, and I think really that's why we're seeing like some of these really bizarre behaviors by nominal Republicans and Democrats, and by news journalists. Why all these people are silent on these movements? Like, usually there's pushback. Not everybody's in alignment. And everybody's quiet. Mm-hmm. And I think probably it's because a lot of people have been are being extorted. Mm-hmm. They've done things that if they got out, best case you're probably going to lose your job. Worst case you're going to go to jail. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really the main reason why they want to get rid of Trump. I don't think anything with the policies. They're just like, oh shoot, we're exposed here. And it made I'm talking about more than just pedophilia. I'm just talking about some of the private deals that these guys have struck and done, and some of the arrangements they made with other countries and selling us out, and treasonous and seditious behavior. I think I think all that whole party got rolled up. I think Romney's knee deep in a bunch of that kind of stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Not I'm accusing him of pedophilia. I'm talking about just cutting deals in Ukraine. His kids involved in that. A lot of these guys care about money more than they care about their country.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I think a lot of this, and that's why these guys are pushing so hard. Look at the guy Sessions. He just lost that primary election, right?
Yep.
Why did he rolled over and he was supposed to be a big human trafficking guy. I mean, he gave up the ghost so fast on Trump in terms of I'm recusing myself.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't even be in this situation if he'd have just been the wingman like Eric Holder, right?
Mm-hmm.
And pushed back on these guys, right? So I just think it's really fascinating. We may never, who knows, this may get all brushed under. My wife was saying, well, what happens if Biden wins? They say it's over. They'll just cover the whole thing back up.
Yeah.
And anybody gets arrested, they'll just commute their sentence, and it'll just be gone. So I think there's more at stake here than just economic policy with Trump, I think.
Well, just on the note about Sessions, my theory here is, first of all, he set everything into motion that we are seeing right now. Like he officially, sanctioned Durham to begin the investigation, also set up Huber, also was responsible for having Epstein arrested. That was all put in motion early on. And I think that by recusing himself and not getting directly involved, it allowed for these witch hunts and everything to take place, which keeps it in the public eye. And, you're hammered every single day. Trump did this, Trump did that. And then by the end of it, after all this money, all this time, it's so clear that there were never any crimes to begin with, that there was no wrongdoing, at least on behalf of President Trump. It truly was everybody else. And by allowing those investigations to take place, all of those other people who were doing the investigation have opened themselves up to the exact same type of treatment. So, I am like on a wing and a prayer. I am so hoping that we are going to see investigations into the investigators. John Durham has to wrap up his investigation, and if he does it before the election, it's going to be extremely powerful. But, there's always a chance that they're going to punt it and wait till after November. I want to see it now, but, it's not my time.
I think they got rid of the Southern District of New York.
That was big.
When they got rid of him, I think that was the unclogging of the dam.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of stopping all that stuff. Notice Maxwell got arrested right after that. A lot of things have happened. So he may have been the one debriefing, and he may have been playing rope-a-dope, and Trump finally said, just get this guy out of here.
Mm-hmm.
He's slowing things down too much.
Well, yeah, it was Maxwell, the Wiener laptop, the Clinton Foundation investigation, like all of the biggest things were being held back by Jeffrey Berman. So, yeah, I think you're totally right there, definitely.
It'll be interesting. We do swing back and forth. If you notice, too, and I know we're going to tangent, but I think all this stuff relates to everything. Is that the lady that Barry Weiss,
mm-hmm.
her announcement, and I think you're starting to see. Bill Maher. Ricky Gervais. A lot of these people are saying, "Hey, you know what? Something's not right here. Why are we allowing what's happening? Because people don't realize, if this is the standard you want to set, and there's a backlash, guess what? You get to eat the same food."
Mm.
And I think a lot of people are sitting there saying, "Wait, something's wrong here. This is bigger than just what I would call racial equality or racial justice. This is really they're going for the throat
mm-hmm.
in terms of trying to destroy the capitalistic system, and I think people are starting like, whoa, the center is giving way, I think, and they're drifting right. I think a lot of people, my view is a lot of people that wouldn't vote for Trump are going to hold their nose and vote for Trump because they're like I was telling my friend the other day, so you may not like Trump, but what has he done wrong to you? Mm-hmm. Think about it. Now, if Biden gets in, your business is gone. Okay, it's gone. Just start thinking about your own self-interest here. And people go, I never really considered that. I think a lot of people are sitting back. Look, you notice all of a sudden they can't even hide it in the polls anymore. The men are swinging totally towards Trump, and I can't imagine a young lady living in an urban area is feeling safe,
No.
okay, in a mob environment. I just think, and if I was African American and I had no voice all of a sudden, now you're subject to the mob. I just think a lot of people, they call it being Trump shy. I don't. People ask me who I'm voting for. I'm like, no, Biden seems interesting. You don't want to be canceled, right? And so you're going to say whatever you're going to say to somebody because you don't want to be. If at work, says, who are you voting for? I don't know. Boy, that Trump guy, he's really an idiot. And Trump, for the election. Because nobody wants to go to work the next day and then all of a sudden, like lady in the New York Times, she said, she couldn't even walk down her hallway without getting harassed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens to people. You get this mob mentality to try to force behavior. But anyway, I think it's all tied in. I think if Trump gets in, I think we'll just continue down the path. If Biden gets in, you and I will have some very interesting conversations.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, Bob, thank you once again for joining us today, brother. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and thanks for letting me talk about Trade Genius too.
No problem, brother. All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Hey guys, one more thing. I just want to say thank you to everybody who has supported the channel. If you're interested in doing more, there is always links in the description below. I have the merch store. Of course, I also have the backup channels. Please subscribe to those. If you take a look up here, you're going to see a couple of other videos. There's also a spot to subscribe if you have not subscribed yet. And if you are subscribed, I ask you to please check and make sure that you're still subscribed and your notifications are turned on. Thank you, everybody, for watching the program, and I will see you tomorrow.